I just watched the Sony State of Play, February 12th, 2026, and it was certainly interesting. So now we're going to go over the announcement spreadsheet style, and we'll see what kind of overall rating I would give it. Badoop, badoop, badoop. So yeah, haven't already seen it. None of this is really going to be, oh my god, reveal kind of territory, because I already got that out of my system. There we go. That makes it a little more on the screen. So I've got every announcement listed out here, unless I missed one. People can let me know if I missed something, but I checked across a couple different sites, and these are the announcements that were listed there. Of course, I just watched them, but when the state of play goes over 60 minutes, it's hard to remember every single thing. So we'll be measuring across a couple different metrics here, and then I want to directly compare it to the recent Nintendo Switch 2 partner showcase. Because that one we ended up feeling meh. At least I did. But this one, let's see if they topped it. I just realized I am not prepared to measure the length on these. I really just want to give my impressions here. In case people are wondering what I thought about any specific announcement, let's go down the list here. So first off, we got a sequel to Kina. Scars of Masmora looked like it gave me vibes of Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei, at least with the horse riding component and the emotional cutscene. I think there was even a stare at the mask moment at one point. Kina was all right. I never finished my playthrough. I did stream that on this channel, but I was streaming it on deck, and at a certain point, it just wasn't running quite well enough for me to keep up. Combat wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I'm gonna give this a may or may not buy. I think it depends on me revisiting the first game on a proper PS5. Because remember, that game, when I played it, and around not too long after that thing released, it was before I had a PS5. I didn't grab the PS5 until Astrobot, so that was like 3 years after release. But this is definitely a brand new reveal. Did not know about this game before. And I think it's an interesting investment for Sony. Because they seem to be helping a lot more with this game. Ember Lab felt more independent before, but a couple renowned people for their animation skills and their smaller story games. So I'm going to give this... I'm going to start at a 2 and see how I feel for there. But anything with a nebulous 2026 release date, I'm just going to give the latest release window that I have in the drop-down menu, because it might not come out until the very end of the year. But going into this list, we're going to have to accept that some of this stuff could come earlier. Like if they want to drop Kina in the summer, that would be within the next 6 months. But since they don't state that, I can't assume that. So anything that says next 3 months, next 6 months, or Shadow Drop, that's going to be stuff that we actually have confirmed dates for. Jesse, I thought you would be cleaning. I didn't expect you to show up. Okay, Jesse has stuff to do. That's understandable. But yeah, like Kino 1's not like my favorite game ever or anything like that, but it's solid and the team knows what they're doing with animation for sure. Okay, Jesse, say so. Ghost of Yotei Legends. I'm gonna have to. This we had a weird technicality in the last spreadsheet, which was the Hollow Knight Switch 2 edition. And I put will not buy on that one, even though I own Hollow Knight on Switch and therefore can download the upgrade pack for free. But there were two reasons to give it a will not buy. Number one, it doesn't cost any money, so I'm not buying it even if I download it. But also, doubly number two, it's not something I would have gone out of my way to pick up if I didn't already have the base game. And Ghost of Yotei Legends, I do have Ghost of Yotei. It was featured on my 2023 list at a certain point. But I guess this has to get a will not buy because it's a free update for the game. Oh, so Hammy did the cleaning. I see how it is. Make that hamster run on his wheel. So I will not buy Ghost of Yotei Legends. However, I'm definitely open to trying it since I already own Ghost of Yotei, and I can think of at least one person who might be willing to play the multiplayer with me. Legends, from my understanding, because I didn't play it in Tsushima, but Legends, I believe, is a co-op mode where you like team up and fight stuff. Like there's objectives. I don't know. That's what I know about it anyway. And they gave it the same name, so clearly they have the same idea here. It seems like the Yotei 6 might be playable. That's what I gathered from the trailer. It says you fight the demonic Yotei 6. So I'm interpreting that as they're using the Yotei 6 to give you multiple playable characters and to see a new side of them. But that the demonic part is like, oh, you're fighting the true evil that lies within them that Atsu also contends within the base game. 4 classes, but I do believe those 4 classes are based on members of the Yotei 6. And 4 makes sense because out of the 6, one of them is the big bad final boss, and one of them is the tutorial. So that leaves 4 when you subtract those 2. I think that's where they get that from. So new this is not. Oh, I have to change. I forgot to change this in the drop down menu, where it says new for Nintendo. Now I've got to put new for Sony because this is a state of play spreadsheet. That said, this is not a new reveal because during the Ghost of Yotei Direct, they teased that this would be coming post-launch. It's a free DLC, but it is a DLC. And I give this a low business value because maybe now a few more people are interested in Yotei, but I don't know that it'll drive much money beyond that. But it is coming out within the next 3 months, not very long from now. Death Stranding 2 is on PC, and I don't care. How new is it? Maybe I need to change new for Sony to new for PC, because now that I think about it, like, would there be any games that were on other platforms but not PlayStation? Like, usually the multi-platform stuff starts on PlayStation, and then maybe also PC and Xbox. Or then there's those rare cases where it starts on PC and Nintendo. I mean, sorry, not PC and Nintendo. PlayStation and Nintendo might have a bit of a cross sometimes. I think that happened with Octopath Traveler 2. Yeah, I don't care about the PC version, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna change the drop down again. Just gonna put new platform. New platform. then if there is one that's new to PlayStation, cool. And if there's one like this that's just new for PC, also cool. There, that solves the issue. And like, yeah, so like, I can see why this is a good fit for the PC audience because it's a graphical powerhouse kind of game. So people who are playing the Kojima games probably care about that stuff, and so you get a few extra dollars out of selling people on that version. Pragmata. Okay, so I made I think I need to go back and change the Nintendo Direct spreadsheet because on that one I gave this a maybe, but now I've played the demo on Switch too, so we're upgrading this to day one purchase. Okay, clearly the website that I got this from was ridiculous because first I noticed, wait a minute, they didn't put the Metal Gear collection on this list. I have to manually add that myself. And I thought that would be the only thing they missed. And so then I started the stream. But yeah, you're right. They missed Resident Evil 9. And yet not Pragmata. It feels weird. Like if they left off both, then maybe the logic would have been that they were only listing off the new stuff. So we'll splice that in. Did that happen before Pragmata or after? I think it was after. Okay, so right after Pragmata, we'll slot that in. Anyway, so Pragmata has been updated to day one purchase. In fact, I'm going to play the PlayStation 5 demo at some point. Not on stream. I think I streamed it enough by doing 4 runs of the Switch 2 version. You might be saying, well, of course there's more stuff you can do. That besides 4 runs, you only got 3 of the pictures, Azrin. And like, you're right, there is probably more stuff I could do, but I can just do that by myself. This is previously announced. This ought to be a good one for them because it's a new Capcom IP, and it releases in the next 3 months. Yeah. What determines if I get this on Switch 2 or PS5 is likely going to be the gyro, unless there's some other difference in PlayStation 5. But both versions have gyro, but some people have reported that the gyro felt better on Switch 2. And I felt the game was working best when I had the gyro enabled. So if PS5 feels good with the gyro, then I go get that one because that'll run better by a slight margin. Switch 2 doesn't even run badly, so when I say it runs better, that's not to knock the Switch 2 version. And I would be I would think about PC just because of how the hacking is tied to the mouse on that one, but I don't have a PC that's gonna run that. Unless it would run on deck. I highly doubt it runs on deck though. We'll see. Or do I hedge my bets that they'll one day do a mouse mode update for the Switch 2 version and get it on Switch 2? Who knows? Or maybe the PlayStation would use the touchpad. But how would you use the touchpad and then if the shooting's on the right? Well, I guess you could use your left hand, but then you have to aim. But if you have the gyro, I wonder if it could work. All right, make room for Resident Evil Requiem. There, now it's typed properly. I think I gave this a maybe in the Switch 2 showcase. Because like I'm not totally against it, but it's a franchise that I need to work my way into before I even consider it. Especially this one, like they brought back Leon and a character by the name of Ashcroft, who I know has ties to previous games. Like I haven't been spoiled on the stories and stuff. Other than I think I've seen a playthrough of RE2, specifically RE2 remake. But like I don't know. I mean, and the story's not the most important part, I guess. But all right, like I'm not down on Resident Evil. And I respect the franchise. They're clearly doing right by their fans. But to say I would buy Requiem is too much of a jump right now. This is previously announced. Double money. And it is like next 2 weeks from now. I think it's 2 weeks now. I mean, playing Resident Evil 2 would also be good for my bingo card. Because I haven't really played horror games, and there is that space on the bingo card that dares me to try out a different genre. So that is an option. I think Jessie's vocal cords are gonna be fine, but I think her face might need some massaging because there were there were many faces that were made and held during the presentation. Might be a little stuck. And one thing that made Jessie happy is the next one, which is Legacy of Kain Defiance Remastered. Uh, is this the one that I said? No, that was. No, wait. No, yeah. No, this is the one that I thought was really cool just because of the preservation aspects. Like the unreleased content and the demo for the sequel that doesn't exist. Except apparently after the showcase, and I messaged this to Jesse as soon as I saw it. Apparently, after the showcase, in a completely separate trailer, there was a new one. Like, interesting that they check your messages, Jesse. I went through the articles that were rounding up all the announcements so I could have the games typed up on the list, and one of them explicitly mentioned, "Hey, wait a minute! They posted this trailer right after the state of play." Maybe I'll find a way to pull it up after. So I don't know much about that, but I do know that Joe Hendry is a person, and Legacy of Kain Remastered. Uh, Jesse, is this a series I would be into if I ever got around to it? I'm not totally sure. Then again, I wasn't sure about Medieval, but I ended up liking that one. Yeah, I mean, I'm torn on whether to give this a maybe or an outright no. But I do think it's really cool. Again, just from keeping all that stuff in there. But you said this was the good one. Okay. Uh, interesting. Interesting comparison since I don't know, I would probably still I could still go back to Mario 64 just fine, but I know that Jesse's in the same camp. Well, actually, no, Jesse's in the camp that says it was never good to begin with. Okay, I'm going to up it to a maybe on the basis of how cool it was, even though I kind of lean towards not. But this is a new thing, as far as I know, and is just a little bit of a money bundle. And it releases in the next 3 months. Visible walls. Okay, then we got a game that I don't care about. Woohoo! Or like, wow, that's such a cool thing that they're bringing back, and look at all the stuff they're doing to it. And then generic anime game shows up, and I say this as someone who's played a fair share of anime games and enjoyed them. I do not remember. I watched this with Jesse mere hours ago, and I can't tell you a thing about this Brigadine Abyss game. I also don't know if it was a new thing. I think it was. Yeah, we're not quite to the jiggles. I'm gonna look this up. Brigadine Abyss. Okay, it is a new announcement. Engine slop. I don't know. Brigadine Abyss announced. It's also coming to Xbox, Switch 2, and PC. Fantasy War Strategy RPG. Single player. The Brigandine series. This is apparently a series, and I'm reading this off PlayStation blog. The Brigandine series has had a long history with PlayStation, with its first title launching on the PS1 back in 1998. Now, 6 years after The Legend of Runersia, the series once again brings players to a fantasy world on a hex grid. Defend your territory from invasions. Carries forward the series staples like fighting battles on hex maps. Various RPG elements, over 100 units with their own blah 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 blah. And there's some new systems, details to come. And 3D graphics, blah 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 blah. 6 stories following the 6 main characters, optional side quests. Continent has 24 factions. A total of 200 plus hours of playtime satisfy even the most die-hard players. That's what they say. Oh yeah, sorry, I've seen my fair share of strategy RPGs. Uh, the fact that it has history, I'm gonna give it $1 instead of the -1. That's coming at some point this year. For those just joining, I acknowledge that some of the stuff that I put this September 2026 or later, some of that stuff could come earlier because they were given a nebulous 2026 release date. But by default, I mean, I'm just going to default them to the latest possible option in the table. Dead or Alive 6, last round. Not a fighting game person. I'm tempted to give this the upgrade pack moniker because, according to Jesse, Dead or Alive 6 is a thing that already exists. And this just sounds like a new version of the game with like definitive edition kind of thing. Am I understanding that right? But can you buy the upgrade if you already have the game, or do you have to buy this version of the game? All right, well, we'll call it an upgrade pack. Comes out sometime before the summer or ends. There's that. That's just a really big not for me kind of thing. They also teased a Dead or Alive 7. They just said a new thing is in development. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the free to play version. All right, we'll up it to new. I will say, like, if you can just buy this game outright for like one solid price, but there's a free to play version that gives you limited access to stuff for you to try it out, I feel like that's actually a really good approach to trying to sell a fighting game. Hmm. Yeah, well, I'm not too into fighting games, so that part just flew right past me. But yeah, people may want to check out that netcode situation before committing to something like this. Crimson Moon, not to be mistaken for Crimson Desert, because I know Mondu's looking forward to Crimson Desert. But this was not that. In fact, I don't even remember what it was. This is no hype. Not at all. I mean, the extra content is always a little pricey, if you know. Oh, is that what it was? I mean, I saw medieval clothing and architecture and spears. I think there were spears. Maybe there's a PlayStation blog on this one. What games did get PlayStation blog entry? That's later. Hina, Ghost of Yotei Legends. Game catalog update. The other thing. Actually, most of these things do have a PlayStation blog entry. Crimson Moon. Introducing Crimson Moon, a gothic action adventure RPG. Here are some details. A gothic world full of angels, demons, and ancient gods. Players will embody the Nephilim, a human-angel hybrid serving the Order of the Crimson Moon, tasked with reclaiming the cursed city of Gildenarch from the evil that infests it. Mankind once stood on the precipice of extermination by the Infernal Legion's charge. Born from a forbidden union between man and angel, the Nephilim emerged and rallied humanity to victory, banishing the forces of darkness from their world. This is sounding very Shin Megami Tensei to me. Now you have been called upon once more to save the city of Gildenarch. where a foul darkness has claimed the city. I'm still in the early paragraphs. District by district and ward by ward, players must fight through the ancient cursed metropolis, all while facing down hordes of the undead, vampires, the demonic infernal legions return. Each cleared district pushes back the Hellgrove and unlocks new challenges, culminating in a winner-take-all confrontation with the sinister vampire lord Solomon Moore, the architect of Gildenark's demise. Why am I laughing at this? Then we get to the combat section. Parries, finishers, angelic arts, and transformations. It's all part of a design that combines high stakes encounters and evolving challenges with a sense of danger and discovery. Actually, Mondo, you know what makes me laugh the most? Is not so much the deep lore, but the naming of things. Like the way you've talked about naming things in the D&D campaigns. Like Gilden Arch. Of course there's a town called Gilden Arch. Or the vampire lord Solomon Moore. It just sounds like a Mandu name. Let's see. This is a world that remembers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Mondo. This is a world that remembers, reshapes, and pushes back without demanding punishing repetition. It's a game for players like us. That is verbatim what the blog says. It is a game for players like us who thrive on improvisational and expressive combat. Crimson Moon rewards experience and skill, distilling wave after wave of savage violence into fast, replayable showcases of brutal expertise as you work to slowly reclaim the city. Missions emerge from the Sanctus Clypeus. The Sanctus Clypeus. Clypeus. Not to be mistaken for the sacred clitoris, your home base and central hub anchored by the war table. There, players can prepare their build, forge new armor and weapons at the blacksmith, and chart their next incursion into Gildenark. As the war escalates and the story unfolds, the war table unveils new quests and escalating threats shaped by the Infernal Legion's advance. The ongoing invasion by the Infernal Legion makes every run a ritual of resistance where mastery, momentum, and mythic combat collide. I just read the phrase every run and earlier read about improvisational combat, which is now making this sound like a roguelike. Oh, hey, here's the multiplayer part. Because yes, this blog is still going. Players can battle alone or join forces with a friend. Co-op amplifies the intensity with dynamic difficulty scaling and enemy composition ensuring every mission feels fresh and personal. Whether fighting side by side or carving your own path, the goal remains the same. Purge the darkness and reclaim the city. Angels and blood, bone and steel, gods and demons. Crimson Moon weaves these elements into a world where redemption is rare, and the only path forward is through the horrors that stalk Gildenark. Each mission reinforces the weight of the Nephilim's charge. Push back the Legion, confront the dead gods, and restore humanity's last stronghold. Visit our social feeds for more information. Okay, well, that was mildly entertaining to read, but it doesn't make me want to play the game. Maybe someone will buy it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are we now the players like us? Are we gonna jump on Crimson Moon, or we can just stick to the Crimson Desert? All right. Did they write something for Beast of Reincarnation? Because now I've just got to keep checking this blog. I might even go back to some of the ones that I've already talked about. Actually, yeah, before we get too far away from it, are there any of the previous games where I should check the blog posts? I don't know how many are going to be as good as that one, but okay, fine. Well, let's see. We got. Oh, hey, here's another one. Thank you, PlayStation Blog. We missed a game again. The website that I got this initial list from is really letting me down. Wait, we missed two. Hold on. Ba-da-ba-da. Okay, so one that I missed was I think it was before Pragmata. It was For Loop, which I know Bass was not a fan of. Neither was I. Hey, Jessie doesn't have to be here. I didn't expect her to show up at all. She said she had stuff to do. But apparently that stuff is done, and now she's subjecting herself to being here. For Loop was previously announced. I think this should get a negative. Because it's one of those multiplayer squad games, and we've seen how the investors have treated High Guard and its compatriots. By the way, they give the slap the negative. If it's getting concorded, then I'm giving it the negative. Yeah, this is a slightly more limited spreadsheet stream. It was really just supposed to be a debrief where people could get my impressions of stuff. But then it turned into the Crimson Moon lore stream. Anyway, when does this release again? This For Loop release says right around, that's a long blog post. There's a closed beta this spring, so I guess that gives it a next 6 months for the beta at least. Either that or the last one for not knowing when the real quote unquote game will come out. Okay, and then the other game that I missed. Other game I missed was Control Resonant. Came after Legacy of Kain. This is likely a will not buy. I don't know. I haven't played a Remedy game. This was previously announced. It'll be all right. You could maybe get a double. since Remedy is kind of established now with things like Alan Wake 2, the first Control. Did this one have a date? It's like a window. It just says 2026, so it gets the last one. Bass, I did try to remedy that one day. I have played I've played a portion of the first Alan Wake on the Switch One. There was a remastered port over there because I was interested in Alan Wake 2 from like the Game Awards performance and stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'll try and give the first one a chance, and then maybe one day it'll leave Epic Store exclusivity, and sure enough, it did. But I don't know anything about the first Control. I was just copying Bass. Bass said it first. Yeah, I'll up it to a maybe. I won't rule it out completely. Anyway, we're finally up to Game Freak's Beast of Reincarnation, which did have a showing at Xbox, but I did not watch that one. I am curious. I'm not doing every blog post since people insist on me not doing every blog post, but this is one that I am curious about. Launching August 4th, so I put it in the next 6 months. They shared new gameplay for Beast of Reincarnation. I don't know if they talked about this lore in the Xbox one. But this one also has a bunch of lore. Lore. Lore, lore, lore. Lore, 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 lore. Go to PlayStation blog for the Beast of Reincarnation lore. Yeah, well, I imagine Xbox was supposed to be the main showing for the game, and they had the rights to show that information first, and that this was just a brief moment of, hey, this will be on PS5 also. I think it accomplished that goal. Okay, sword-based attacks in real time. Oh, this is an interesting description. Beast of Reincarnation is a one-person, one-dog action RPG. So, like, never. Because Neva was a one-person, one-dog side-scroller game that also had sword-based action combat. Okay, this is Neva in 3D, made by Game Freak. That's what I'm learning here. There's exploration. The world changes in real time. Not something that you'd necessarily expect from Game Freak. So yeah, sword combat with a dog companion. That's the main gimmick apart from the lore. I won't rule it out. Maybe. Previously announced. Dippity dippity doo. All right, Rayman. Rayman 30th anniversary. I'm on the timeline over there. On the timeline over here, I did list this one as Shadow Drop because I felt bad about giving it any other label because it's out tomorrow. We're not incompetent, we swear. Yeah, Beast of Reincarnation looks alright. Rayman 30th will allow players to navigate the pitfalls of old game design. I'd give this one a maybe. It was previously announced. It'll be alright. There were a couple announcements in this showcase where we got one announcement and then it was followed up. Like one announcement for something further out and then something that was followed up in the announcement that was like coming sooner. I thought maybe they would do an inverse with Rayman. Yeah, Mina has said 2030 ever since they delayed it, but now this is our first confirmation that it is in fact still coming in 2026. When we get down to that one. So yeah, I kind of expected Rayman to be followed up by like a new Rayman announcement. I forgot about this anniversary edition deal from way back whenever it was first mentioned. So when they introduced Rayman, I thought, oh my god, an actual new Rayman game. And then that did not happen. Oh wait, they announced that they were gonna make one though. Wasn't there like a very public job posting? The memories are coming back. All right, well, I guess they're just building the bridge to get people back into Rayman. All right, Mina, day one purchase. This is previously announced, but is really more of a confirmation about the release date. Yacht Club does good stuff. I'm glad that I keep getting the spreadsheet off by accident. Very old announcement. It is a few years old at this point. All right. Previous and now. Is that precisely what we want to call it? Or like no. Breaking news. I thought this was gonna be news that I cared about. Is that just another thing that they decided to leave out of the state of play, just like the second Legacy of Kain announcement? All right, well, enjoy your dinosaurs. Anyway. Um, I'm going to name this line Old Stuff, and we'll give it the color blue. Dark blue. There you go. Mina is old stuff. I can think of another game in this presentation that will apply to. Dino Crisis games are half off. Wow. You heard it here first. Unless you heard it from somewhere else and then brought it over to here, which is actually what happened. Never prologue. I'm thinking, and I actually don't know if this is something I need to buy because it sounds like the kind of thing that they would put into the original game. I did play Never. I mean, I guess it could be a standalone release. I will check the blog just to know exactly what it is. Head place, kid place. Mina. Oh, they didn't give Never Prologue a blog post, from what I can tell. Darn. All right, Google, please tell me about Never Prologue. This first article says story DLC. Neva is getting a story expansion titled Neva Prologue. Okay. Standalone DLC. Chapter. Post game content. New locations. New enemies. New flowers. Trying to figure out if it's paid DLC or free DLC, because, like, I mean, either way is fine. Probably. It's just being listed as DLC. And I assume since the game is 2024 because I had it in my 2024 awards. So I assume that with it coming up on it came out October 2024. So it's not been like a full 2 years, but we're entering more than 1 year away from it. So I would assume it's a paid thing. But I'm thinking it's a will buy later situation. And this is DLC. Woohoo! Okay, then we got the Tenshu like game, which mildly intrigues me just because I do tend to like the stealth stuff like Mark of the Ninja. This is my first time seeing like a 3D one of those because I've never heard of Tenshu until Jesse mentioned it during the stream today. So I give it a maybe. The new thing looks all right. I cannot contribute to the Dino Crisis conversation because I know nothing. The only thing I know about Dino Crisis is that people were disappointed that Exoprimal was not Dino Crisis. Remember Exoprimal? Exoprimal had you fighting dinosaurs. Project Windless has you fighting as a giant chicken. I've played my fair share of Warriors games, and this one, you play a giant chicken. So that's at least a maybe. This was a new thing, for sure. Crafton fried chicken. Master Collection Volume 2. I'm just gonna give this one a will not buy. There are too many franchises. There are too many franchises in existence, and so I need to pick and choose my battles. And right now, that battle does not include the Metal Gear franchise. Because I would at least need to play Master Collection Volume 1. It's it's weird to give this brand new reveal when they named the first one Volume 1, so we knew that eventually there would be a Volume 2. Oh, that's the Subnautica murdering jerks. We'll downgrade that. But the idea of a chicken warriors was something. Actually, we should upgrade that business volume to a negative because they might just fry this chicken before it even gets to be made. Yeah, this is our first time seeing a volume 2. I mean, it was entirely possible that they could release volume 1 and then never release a volume 2. They sure were taking their time with it, but this was the start of the whole Konami segment, and this is where they just decided to pop off, because even if Metal Gear's not my thing, something that is a day one purchase is Darwin's Paradox, which was previously announced. I do have the recollection of seeing this game in a previous state of play, but they transitioned into it from Metal Gear and showed the Metal Gear homage in the game, stealthing around as an octopus. And I don't need to play an entire franchise to understand what's going on in a Kojima story because it's a new thing with an octopus. Tentacle. Oh yeah, Darwin. Darwin's gonna make a great spy because he can perform tentacle espionage. There you go, Nova. So that's out in the next 3 months, which is cool. And then Castlevania Belmont's Curse. God, I have done the mildest amount. I've done the very slightest amount of catching up on my Castlevania. Very little. What have I played? I've played Super Castlevania 4. That was one Halloween stream. I've played Kid Dracula, which is not even a real Castlevania game when you think about it, but it was in the collection. Uh didn't I play at least one more? Oh, frick, you know what? I said I was gonna play Bloodlines last Halloween, and then I never did. I think that's the other one I was thinking of. Anyway, thing about it though is I mean Castlevania is a big franchise and it does have some ongoing lore elements, but at the same time, for whatever reason, I am not apprehensive about jumping into a new entry in this series. Maybe it's because it's pretty gargantuan, and I'm like, just screw it, jump into the new one. But this game looked good. Now Konami needs to make a Dead Cells expansion. Yeah, it's been dormant for so long. But like this one, the art in this one, the stuff that they did with the colors and the shadows, I was really digging that. Uh, and like yeah, it just looked polished and modern and like something I really want to play. So like, I might be afraid of getting into Metal Gear or what was the other one? Resident Evil. And I'd be like, oh yeah, Resident Evil has 9 games to it, and the characters in the newest game are based on the older games, and you might lose some continuity stuff if you jump in with Requiem. But Castlevania, I'm not really worried about that. So I am currently giving this yet another day one purchase. This is absolutely a new thing. And is this our first triple? Have we had a triple money in this list up to this point that I've neglected? This is the first one where I'm thinking about triple money because people want this. Double A. For Lopez. Isn't for loop like a beta thing that's not really gonna make him any money? I gave that one the negative. Sure, Resident Evil games aren't long, but there's 8 plus of them. Soon to be 9. And I say plus because there's the spin-off stuff. And I think at least one of those spin-offs actually matters for Resident Evil 9. Alright, I don't know what to think of Silent Hill Townfall. It certainly looked like a horror game. Like some very creepy needle and blood imagery. I feel like it'll do its job. Is another franchise that I am not currently starting. I think if I started Silent Hill, it would either have to be at the beginning or with F. Like F is different. But this is new. I don't know. I feel like this is in the Silent Hill short message territory. But just I don't know if I want to start with Townfall because I don't know, it was maybe a little. I mean, I don't mind needles, but something about the way they made that needle move. But like that's the point of the game, right? It's to be a little off kilter, taken aback, like what horror is. And I did say pre-orders for this went up, and that the game is $50. So I guess it's like a full size Silent Hill, and not like a short message situation. Even though I said that's what it reminded me of, with how it was disconnected and stuff. I'll up it to maybe. What's the timing situation? Like the fact that it comes out on the heels of Silent Hill F, which was acclaimed, or the fact that it's standalone, but I thought F was also pretty standalone from my understanding. Oh, Castlevania. Yeah, I could see good word of mouth for the series getting it there. Also, I do have a theory. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the Castlevania lore. Obviously, I know there are Belmonts, and that one of them is named Trevor. But I do notice Belmont's curse is, if you change that to an acronym, it is BC. BC, the 2 letters that are used to say like in the before times. Like if this is Castlevania BC, then this could be like really early in the timeline. But I don't know enough about the lore to say that. There's probably someone who's gonna be like, actually, Trevor is the third Belmont, and so this has to take place after the other 17. Well, maybe this is a year that Dracula shows up, but in the before time. Or maybe it will be sent back in time. Maybe there's time travel shenanigans. Games like to do that these days. Rev Noir is a game. It looked like a Xenoblade 2 ripoff. New Konami franchise. Like, obviously, it's not a Xenoblade game. It's not a Xenoblade game because it was clearly action combat, although they do call it an RPG. They say it's a JRPG made by JRPG fans. But, like, the one bit of gameplay combat that we saw was swinging your sword in real time. So, just seems like an action RPG with the Xenoblade 2 aesthetic. Look, I was thinking Xenoblade 2 because of the art style. One day we'll know what Monolith was up to. John Wick, don't care. Makes sense. They've already got Keanu Reeves doing games like Cyberpunk, so clearly he was willing to play his own character in a new game. People still watch the John Wick stuff and will pay for it, so it's a good move. I just don't care about it at all. Like, in the slightest. Marathon was the part that put everyone to sleep. I'm gonna give that the old stuff on the newness. It's got a open preview weekend coming soon. What do we want to give this for money? How much business value does Bungie bring here? That's one vote for negative. If it's more like Arc Raiders, but people are already playing Arc Raiders, then why would people move to Marathon? Seems like an argument for negative. But I don't know. Maybe there is like a dedicated Bungie fan base who's definitely gonna pay for the game. I mean, part of me wants to say that you would play this instead of Arc Raiders because AI voice acting, but alright, we'll get wish list numbers, D, and then they'll play Destiny 2. Da 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 da. Yeah, is this where the Bungie acquisition pays off? Oh, Jesse, I believe it. I was at least tempted to try High Guard with its free to play model. But now with all the with the giant layoff, I certainly don't want to. I feel way less enthusiastic about ever doing that. 60K enough to give it a. Yeah, it just feels like the people who worked on High Guard really wanted to work on High Guard. Like, they had an idea for their own multiplayer team shooter thing and weren't doing it because it was a multiplayer team shooter thing that would make them money, but just because that is what they wanted to make. One of the people who got laid off said that they were excited about some of the stuff that they made for the game that now they won't be around for. So it's a situation where I feel bad for them. Like it's a shame that the business side is not giving the game the time it needs to grow its legs, because it seemed like some people were going to stick around and some of the updates could have been cool. All right, here I've lumped together all the PlayStation catalog updates. So one tier is getting Spider-Man 2. The essential tier is getting Big Walk as soon as that launches. Looking forward to that. We're getting Time Crisis with gyroscope approximations of light gun controls and the PSP Tekken game. I know that people like their Time Crisis. I also know that Spider Man 2 was a very well received game, and so people who didn't play it yet can get some definite value out of their catalog. And I'm looking forward to Big Walk, and I know I'm going to be playing it on PS5 because right now it's either that or PC. And so the fact that that's in the essential tier, I'm pretty sure this direct state of play, I'm pretty sure this state of play just confirmed that I'm going to get Big Walk for free because I was going to get that game. And I'm pretty sure I'm on PlayStation Plus Essential. So, go me. Not having to pay for the game because I'm already paying for the subscription. Like, this was a pretty good set of updates. Especially for me, especially Big Walk, but this was a pretty good set of updates. But what do I how do I rank this on the hype level though? I'm already paying for PlayStation Plus Essential. But if I wasn't, there's some stuff here that could weigh me into one of the categories. Every new category will be blue. This came up during the Hollow Knight thing as well. I already own. I'll make it teal. Uh, Upgrade pack. It's an upgrade to the tier. I mean, I guess it's free DLC. And then, like I said, some people might actually subscribe for this stuff, so give it at least the $1. Now we are almost to the end, unless there's other announcements that are missing from this list. You can see the end of this list now, so if anyone thinks of something that was shown that I clearly neglected, then I didn't know Jesse was waiting for Wolverine, but yeah, he shows up in Tokon, which, if I'm honest, is a not buy from me. It looks cool. I'm glad that they're doing a fighting game in that style for these characters and changing them up for once. Because like the Marvel saturation is so large that giving it to Arc System works, and just giving them the artistic creativity reigns to do what they want, like giving Wolverine that armor, for example. Like, that's cool. That helps it stand out and be different. I respect it. I'm still not a fighting game person, though. Ooh, when will they learn their lesson about accounts? This was indeed previously announced at a state of play, but between Marvel and Arc System, I think double. And plus, this is probably a game that would have a DLC support model and bring in more money later. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same bass. I mean, sometimes I get lumped into a competitive match. Like, I'm not good enough at Splatoon to be competitive, but I definitely have a competitive mindset when I'm playing that, and same for Smash. Games for 2032? You think the trilogy is that far away? This one at least gets a maybe because it's a remake of the original, so it would be a chance to get into the franchise. This is new. Thinking double. Oh, you think they're three separate releases? I guess they didn't specify that, but they showed them all at the same time, so I thought this was going to be like one disc with all three. I mean, I get that is still making three remakes. Yeah, and like he did say it would be a bit. There was one game shown earlier that's not coming out until 2027. I think it was the Ninja game. Something like that. So, I mean, if they're now in development, I think 2032 is a stretch, but I will concede that it could be a little bit. I think before 2030, though. Through the blog. Blog. Original trilogy made. Okay, it does say this project is still very early in development, so we ask for your patience. When we can come back with an update, we aim to make it a big one. And then the rest of the blog post talks about the last announcement. And thank you for 20 years. I guess that's the question. So that is the question. Ondu would be right if they're taking the Square Enix approach. But in my head, these are just nice remasters of the original, like made from the ground up, new assets, not remaster, but like I want to think that it's going to be more direct and fateful than something like Final Fantasy VII. All right, we'll see. I am placing my bet, and I'm not, through this discussion, I will acknowledge that I could be wrong. But I'm placing my current bet on within the next 4 years, we get the update. AC Carlson said it would be a bit, but within the next 4 years, certainly. Says I, who knows nothing about God of War. So, Amanda's bet is on 6 or more. Anyway, I'm sure this will be good business value. People like God of War. So much so that they made a prequel game and shadow dropped it. Yes, indeed. This was their final reveal of the showcase. God of War Sons of Sparta is a 2D action platformer with a canon story set in Kratos' youth during his harsh training at the Agoge alongside his brother Deimos. From the writers of God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. And it says that adult Kratos narrates the story. Kratos will learn deadly skills using his spear and shield and harness powerful divine artifacts known as the Gifts of Olympus to take on an array of foes. Hand drawn pixel animation, new creatures. You can get it right now for 30 US dollars or 30 pounds. Yeah. Now, I wasn't huge on seeing this game in motion. Like, okay, look, I never played any of the original Prince of Persia's, but something about the Lost Crown was able to grab me. And I gave that game a chance, and it ended up being pretty darn good. Of course, that game was separate from the other Prince of Persia's anyway, because it had like its own new character and stuff. Like, this was an opportunity to get me into God of War in that way. Like, hey, there's this cool new thing that vaguely resembles Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, but it's the God of War franchise. It's certainly a curiosity. I currently do not have plans to buy this. Something about it just looked a little off in the animation, but maybe it was just because I was watching Jesse's stream of the trailer as opposed to the actual trailer itself. Oh, Castlevania now has numerous new products. Yep, welcome back, Castlevania, officially. We'll see. I do want to give this game one positive, though, but it's not so much about the game itself. I'm hopeful that what they're doing with Sons of Sparta is Sony finally learning the lesson that they needed to learn about, AAA games versus AA games. Here that they have taken one of their key franchises, the God of War series, and they've just shadow dropped a completely different kind of game, one that doesn't take as much development time to make, clearly. And that's more of a budget title. By Sony standards, $30 is more of a budget title. And now they're using it to fill that gap. It's like, okay, the next God of War, we're doing this trilogy remake. It's gonna be a while, and in the meantime, have this. And if they can start doing that with their other franchises as well, then they'll finally be on like a better path. So if this game is the start of more of that, then it's a great announcement, actually. even though I'm not planning to pick up the game myself, and it might not be particularly good under scrutiny, as Mondo was saying. Who knows? It's just that maybe they're finally starting to buck the trend. It's a start. Obviously, need to give it more time and see if they do more like this, but it's a start. Yeah, this was a brand new reveal. Based on the comments about how the audience is gonna feel about the game, I'm gonna give the $1 sign. So yeah, that was the beast of the state of play with a lot of announcements. So like this versus the last partner showcase from Nintendo Direct, there is way more stuff I was personally interested in on this one. Like multiple day one purchases. I need to go back through the list real quick because we added some qualifiers. Um, so Ghost of Yote Legends, I put will not buy, but that was before we added already own. It's a free update to a game that I already own, so it now gets that moniker. Pragmata. I think that's the only adjustment I needed to make. Wow. Calling Sony a grown man. Here we have the graph of when this stuff is releasing. Wow. So keep in mind on the Shadow Drop segment, one of those is God of War. Half of that is God of War, and the other half is the Rayman thing that comes out tomorrow. It was so close to today that it didn't feel right to move it into next 3 months. We kind of did something similar with a game in the partner showcase being like a week off from the next threshold. Move up. Only had no bummer, man. So yeah, 39.3% or 11 of the announcements are just given a 2026 or even 2027 window, and it was not specified when they would be. So some of that stuff could come earlier, but there's a good chance that a lot of that is later. But you have like a third of the presentation being in the next 3 months, and if you combine that with the shadow drops, it's a little over a third that's within the next 3 months. And then 20%, like a fifth of the presentation, being confirmed to be within the next 6 months. Here's how we rated the business side of things for Sony. It's too bad that the negative money slice there didn't end up being red. So he said over 3/4 of this presentation was like a little money. Actually, that's closer to 2/3. About 2/3 of the presentation was the $1 sign. 7% received a negative dollar sign to balance that out a little bit. And 25%, 7 announcements that were like double money. Wow, that is that stop moving Google. Exactly half of this presentation was brand new stuff. Like, I can't believe the slice is exactly half. Like, That's like that's why I feel better about this presentation, honestly. That's a major reason for it right there. Like if you arrange the announcements in a certain order, then every other announcement is something we did not know about. Kind of crazy to think about. 28% was updates on previously announced stuff, with another 7% being really old stuff like Mina. 10% was dedicated to DLC, and one announcement was putting Death Stranding on a new platform. That counts for 3.6%. Now, there should be, there we go, the Azrin hype level chart. This is the one I was looking for. All right, we got 14% of this presentation is a day one purchase from Azrin, with an additional 3.6% being something that I would intend to buy later. And then rounding out the first half, we have 32% in the maybe category. Although, yeah, we all know the maybe category is likely never going to see the light of day, but was at least like, worth thinking about. Yeah, no. And so, Jesse, the way you phrased that was almost half is stuff I won't buy. But the way I'm going to rephrase it is that the way I would rephrase that is that there was more than half of the presentation that I was at least considering. Like, I think for a presentation like this, 43% being something I definitely won't buy is a pretty good number. And there's 7% here that I already own. That's the PlayStation catalog updates and the Ghost of Yote multiplayer. So if you tack that on with the stuff that I intend to buy, then we are up to about a quarter of the presentation being stuff that I intend to purchase. That's really good. For a presentation this big with over 20 announcements and wallets being the way they are, that was good. I think I only had one day one purchase in the Nintendo showcase. Granted, I would need to go back and change that one because at the time I did not realize that Pragmata was a day one purchase. So if we were to retroactively change that one, because in this graph Pragmata is a day one purchase, if we were to change that one, then that one would go up just a little bit, and there'd be two day one purchases in there. We skipped double of them. God, these lists are the worst. So these graphs are incomplete. Darn it. Well, that's gonna bring down some stuff. I'm gonna put it above the Konami section. 007 First Light. No. Old stuff. Make a little money, I guess. And when's that coming out? Is it the next 6 months or something? I think that's August. Not August. Why does that keep happening? Every time I try and type 1, it goes to 3. It's not a 3 money signs. I'm sorry. IOI does not do that well. May 27th. That is, in fact, next. It just barely misses the next 3 months category. Off by a week or a few. Like that. One, two. It's off by 2 weeks. So should I give it 3 months or 6? Maybe for the summer showcases, I will. Month 2 plus 3 equals month 5. I mean, yes, but we're at month 2.5, and it's really at month 5.75, or more than that. I give it 3. Okay, maybe for the next set of showcases, I will add more to that column. I still don't want to do it right now because we've made it this far. I should probably have something in between Shadow Drop and 3 months, and then I should probably have something in between 3 and 6. Then I should probably. What is happening with this presentation? How was there this much stuff? Star Wars Galactic Racer. Yay. Maybe. Maybe. I do like Fast Fusion, Fast RMX. The game looks like it plays something like those. Not huge into Star Wars, but people rave about Pod Racer. Like, maybe. I will give it a maybe. This was previously announced. This will make a little money. When does this release? I went to a couple different websites to get this list of games. And then I went to the official PlayStation blog, which seemed to have a story on every single State of Play game. And none of them had mentioned 007 or, oh wait, actually the PlayStation blog does mention 007 First Light. Wouldn't you know it? But it does not mention Galactic Racer. I'm looking at it right now. So I can't be totally blamed for my incompetence. Was this the August one? Kena 2 is the first game. Yes, I listed it. But it just says 2026, I think. Um, did this have a date? No, I didn't list Dead or Alive 7, but I don't think that one counts. I can't find a date. I'm just listing 2026 for Star Wars. I listed Dead or Alive 6. Think you were even here for that, Mondo. Yes, they mentioned that the next Dead or Alive was being made, but there was no trailer. Fine, I will add Dead or Alive 7. Nope. No. Eh. Yeah. No, I did it again. Don't tell me. I did it again. I see it. I'm fixing it. Look, God of War is a big Sony franchise, and if it was the volleyball, then maybe. Refuse to give us a new volleyball. Did not happen that way. All right. We got your Dead or Alive 7. We got your 007. Are there any other 7s I should know about? Meow. My God, they showed Soros. Does anyone have the full list? Anyone? I don't remember what order it was in. I'm going to put it in this random spot. Soros. Maybe. Maybe. I should have remembered Soros because this trailer actually showed some changes from Returnal and how it might be more accessible to newcomers with some of these changes. And like there are difficulty modifiers, but you have to balance them out with challenge modifiers. You can return to different biomes, so you're not like starting completely over. It seems a little more approachable than Returnal, so I'm giving it a maybe. I mean, I finally beat a Hades game last year with Hades 2, and this is a roguelike thing, so I've proven that I'm capable. I think. Previously announced. Double money for Housemark or just one? Yes, I have Yote. I have Yote, and then I changed it to something I already own because I already own it. Okay, if Returnal sold bad, then I would give it the one. But it had good critical acclaim. Okay, what other things did I inevitably forget? Hey, of play. Oh, look, a headline that says everything announced in the state of play. Let's see. Let's see if that's true. Ina, check. What does this article do? Ina, check. Ghost of Yote Legends, check. Death Stranding for PLC, DC, PC, check. For Loop, check. Pragmata. This website does not want you to stay on my phone. For Loop, Legacy of Kain, Brigadine, Dead or Alive, Roll Resonant, Crimson Moon, Beast of Reincarnation, Rayman 30th. Mina, Neva, Yako, Chicken, Racer, 007, Metal Gear, Darwin, Castlevania, Silent Hill Townfall. Oh my god, this article just keeps refreshing itself while I'm scrolling through it, and I cannot finish reading it. So we're just going to assume Dino Crisis was not in the state of play. That's the thing. I'll just point out the article I read did not name Dead or Alive 7. It skipped right past that. But good old Azrin listened to the people who said Dead or Alive 7 was announced, and he put it in the list. Because he believes in the people, he listens to the people, he knows the people matter. And the people want their jiggle physics in 2039. I just claimed that Dead or Alive 7 would take longer than God of War trilogy. And you will vote for me for your mayor. I will lead the people. A new tomorrow. That's the second time that my door has just opened itself when it was completely shut. And the first time it did that was during one of the horror game trailers. So it was extra unsettling the first time. Okay, I'm just waiting to see if we missed anything else because I don't want to scrub through the state of play myself. Because if I do that, then the way the window capture is set up, even the I even if I open a second window, OBS has been acting like second windows don't exist, so I can't leave the spreadsheet on the screen while I pull up a YouTube on another window. It would just make me show you the YouTube, and so I don't want to do that because it's gonna look. Well, I'm going to assume we didn't miss anything while Mondo finishes, and we'll review the graphs real quick just to see what's changed. Okay, so the Azran hype chart. Now there's a lower percentage on day one purchase because there's a increase in stuff I won't buy or stuff that I may buy, but it's still less than half of the presentation that I definitely won't buy. It's still good percentages here. Stuff that was new. Okay, so because of those extra announcements that we added in, we're down to 46.9% nice that was brand new. So it's not quite half and half, unfortunately. That was a nice number that we had before, but it was false. We made it up. Business pie chart looks pretty much the same as before. And when this stuff is coming out, you're looking like 1/3 late, another third in the next 3 months, and then the last third was either today, tomorrow, or in the summer. All right, we find the date. Yay! Yay! This state of the play address was longer than the Gettysburg Address. 4 score plus tax rate dollars ago, our fathers brought upon this nation a video game. Oh, the Dino Crisis. Do I pull up that one trailer that was not in the state of play that isn't Dino Crisis? I don't know anything about it either, but apparently a thing. Let's close. Oh, and I shall open. Do. Where's the? All right, now I gotta adjust the cropping again. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. M-rated trailer, cropping off the stuff, so you can see the thing. I should probably pick a frame that's not black so that I know if everything's on the screen. Now I can see if everything's on the screen. I've cut too much off the top. Gonna move that down. Yibbidi-da, doing it live. The thing. We're gonna jive, and that's too much. We can put that back. That should be everything. Maybe I can take a bit off the left. I move that. Good enough. This is probably good enough. I don't think the sound is coming out. Don't think I had sound on that. Where's my desktop audio? It hit play there, or you can go by the blah blah blah. I stopped lining it up. Okay, I had desktop audio on the wrong output source. So
The moment his wings were revealed, Nosgoth trembled.
this is a trailer. Doo doo boo doo.
You have done well, Ratian. You must save yourself.
I have come seeking a favor.
It was not in the state of play, but they released it right after the state of play.
Sentence isn't granted. It is earned with blood.
Yeah, that's when I tried to send Jesse. I was like, wait a minute, Jesse liked the Legacy of Kain thing, and now there's a new thing. So I have no idea what it's really all about, but the thing that exists. Yippee. Or not. I don't know. Say when it's coming. 2D retro action platformer, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, the state of play was already so long. What would one more trailer have done? But speaking of things getting long, I think we will cut things off there. But that's what I thought of the state of play. I thought it definitely had good moments, and it was at least worth watching this one. Multiple things that I do, in fact, intend to purchase from this one, so I'm coming away happy. So thank you, Sony, for filling the gap for me this time. Usually Nintendo fills the gaps on my stuff, but every once in a while, the other companies can have a win. And so thanks for coming out and joining me. Thanks, Nova, for the channel point reward. And yeah, just everyone who hung out, of course. So next week, some special new Game Builder Garage content. And then who knows what else beyond that. Bye.